series, so maybe it'll be 2-0. We'll have to wait and see. Haven't seen a 3-game series so far yet today, but this is probably the best chance for one. We are starting off here on Catalana and spawning in the left side in yellow from Team Unrivaled. It's our Terran player, it's Padula.
And in the top side of Catalina, the blue Zerg from Guns N' Roaches, it is Slayer. The ex-Lucky 13 hero.
Those poor Lucky 13 guys ending up in so many different places. Mostly Unrivaled and mostly Guns N' Roaches, but...
Yeah, you guys got one. I think Composite got one as well. I think that's it.
Yeah, Akila, a former Lucky 13 player as well.
Yeah, she went to Orlean. Yeah, she was the one I said that you guys got one.
Yeah. But TVZ, once again, we do have a gas coming from Padula after his barracks. So his normal Reaper expansion build, it looks like, in this game. Which is pretty safe, especially considering this is Catalana. It's playing safe to start off with, and Slayer going for a hatchery first here to open up the series. Nothing too out of the ordinary for him. He did have a starting series against Lando, which was a Terran player, so he's already had a little bit of a warm-up in TVZ or ZVT, and he did play decently. He didn't get completely rolled over in that series, but did not go very well for him. We'll have to wait and see how he does, how he fares against a little bit of a closer player, or closer level player, I should say, in this series.
Yeah, I think this is the most even series of the match of the night. Hopefully, I think it should be. I think both these players are in their best matchup. Both of them are pretty evenly skilled. They're right around that borderline diamond platinum barrier. They both might promote to diamond when Blizzard put their ladder redistribution in.
And that's gonna be a whole lot of fun. Let me tell you how excited I am to deal with that in the coming weeks. Yeah, when you run a league that is based off of completely what your ladder league is, and everything matters about your ladder league, and everything gets changed in the middle of a season. We had this happen back in season 7, I think, and it was an absolute cluster. It looks like it's gonna be happening again.
Yeah, it happened like right at the end of the season as well.
Yeah, so playoffs were such a mess.
Yeah, so like I was in gold at the time, and then I promoted to platinum with the league redistribution for like a week or two, and then playoffs started, and then it was a new ladder season, and then I was back in gold. It was really weird.
Yeah. It's a really awkward time. Padula, once again, he's getting really ballsy with this Reaper, actually. He actually snipes the drone, but he does get the Reaper surrounded, however, so loses the Reaper for a single drone, which is like you were talking about in an earlier match, not at all what he wanted to do there.
Not worth it at all.
A bit of a blunder, but he wasn't trying to go for multiple Reapers, so he didn't need that snowball effect of Reapers. He is going for Marines currently and getting a factory as well. Yeah, it was indeed luck. It was kind of interesting pathing those lings did take to actually surround that Reaper there. So
yeah,
good accident there. Happy accident for Slayer. There are no mistakes, just happy accidents. I think that's the saying.
Yeah, something like that.
Bob Ross.
Slayer can kind of do whatever he wants now. He has map control for the longest amount of time. He's even getting fast overlord speed again. Something stylistic of him that he must do quite a bit in ZVT. Which is never a bad thing.
I really like him seeing use that a little bit more. Actually, just like denying the third bases for just continual periods of time. Because you just continually send overlords over and spread creep and just keep that from actually landing for such a long time, and just at a low cost of some minerals in those overlords. Yeah, it's your supply, but if you're planning on doing that and you're planning on losing it, you can prepare for it. So it's an interesting little addition to the normal Zerg setup. We do see some more lings coming out on the map now. We have 8 in production. There are a couple of Hellions. There's a Widowmine as well, so we saw this in the game versus Aquila on this map from Padula, where he got this Widowmine, a few Marines, and some Hellions with a quicker starport for a medevac. We're waiting for the armory to come in so we can do that same Hellbat Marine Widowmine push that killed Aquila's third base, but Padula is a little bit frightened right now. He's actually making 3 bunkers back home. Not necessarily sure. I mean, losing that first Reaper, he has no idea what's going on. And seeing Overlord speed now. This Overlord does get in and see absolutely everything. He's going to be able to walk on out of there pretty soon as well.
His armory is super delayed from trying to chase this Overlord as well. I think he wanted that down a little bit a while ago. He wants that armory finishing up as he's hitting Slayer's creep, and it just hasn't even started yet. He might just be skipping it. It might be a completely different build, but I think his plan was to get those Hellbats, and he's either forgotten his armory or he's doing something completely different.
I imagine he probably just forgot the armory outright, because this is the same exact push that we saw earlier. It's just now he doesn't have the power of having a little bit more girth, I guess, to these Hellions. But he could try and go for just an elevator into the main base if he wanted to, but actually I'd say that he is going to do exactly that. The Hellions are going to go over towards the 4th base and do a little bit, or 3rd base, and do a little bit of damage there. This medevac is in the main base. The Widowmine is with it as well. It did take a pretty terrible path, so he knows it's there, but Slayer is actually paying attention to the 3rd base, getting the Hellions, which is nice, so those are dead. Padula is going to be dropping this Widowmine, but the drone's already pulled off. The Widowmine hasn't burrowed just yet. Some Lings are rallying back to take care of that. He's going to get the Widowmine shot to go off on something awful. Oh, look, it gets 2 Ling kills, which is really nothing.
Yeah, really good micro there from Slayer. Good multitasking as well, to save his drones. His Marines getting out as well. He loses another Marine. None of the Hellions did any kind of damage. I think Padula looking to try and abuse his multitasking, try and get some drone kills. Really well deflected there by Slayer. Padula did throw down a 3rd CC as he was moving out though, so he's still in a really good shape. He has +1/+1 started as well. He's got a tech lab on his starport. I'm not sure if it's for Banshee or not.
There's one Banshee on the way. I don't think it'll be getting Cloak anytime soon. The bad thing for Padula with this build, he doesn't have Stim. It doesn't even have started. It's 10 minutes in, and with the Spire already finished here for Slayer, granted he has a pretty low drone count because he did have to make a lot of Lings to help defend that. I guess he was expecting that push to be a little bit more frightening. He's got a lot of Lings right now already on the map. He hasn't made any Banelings, however. He is getting Bane speed right now, and if he does finish at that Bane speed and go for some sort of a bust, that's going to be a lot of damage. Slayer is going to get that Overseer caught out. Actually, it's actually going to supply block him as well, so that kind of sucks for him. There's another Overlord sitting here. There's nothing to shoot up at the moment, but it is going to get shot at now. Stim still isn't on the way. I'm not sure why he hasn't actually started that Padula.
Yeah, he's starting it just now, but it means combat shield's going to be far away as well. Yeah, another pause coming out. The BattleNet is failing us tonight. Now I'm getting lag.
So maybe it was Slayer all along. Maybe
I'm blaming you.
Tony Abbott all along.
I'm blaming you. You'll blame me for the
blaming
me for the EU group, so I'm going to blame you.
So Slayer has paused. I guess he's just checking because it's looking okay. So he's going to get back into this game here. We were starting really quickly. We're already back, so yeah, you're not a ref. Deal with it.
Yeah, man.
But Slayer, I mean, he's got a lot of units already. He's only making 5 Banelings, so he's not going ham on those. He is getting a Spire as well. He doesn't quite have all the gases that he wanted. He is still trying to drone up his 3rd base, which a very large swell of drones just now finishing up. I think he just finished maybe 10 at a time right there. So 12 drones over at that 3rd base currently, still making more and more. He's just trying to get his complete saturation up at all of his bases at this point. Enjoying a small bit of a lead at the moment. He's got some Lings sitting at the 3rd bases of Padula, just waiting for that to be taken. And I would really love to see these Overlords with speed.
Lag.
Yeah, well, that's him, actually.
Yeah. This Overlord is still alive. Where is Padula's Marines?
I don't know.
Like, he has 7 Marines, but where are they?
Actually, all in the main.
I'm very confused what is happening right now.
Yeah,
Asking for a pause. A bit of lag issues here. I'm still confused as to why this Overlord is alive.
Yeah, the Overlord just kind of chilling in the base there. I mean, that's a bit of a mishap. It's not a huge deal, obviously.
No.
I mean, all he's seeing is the fact that units exist. But I mean, that Overlord did see that the 3rd base has lifted off, so he knows that there's the hole in the wall now. If he wanted to go attack that, but I mean, if he's disconnecting, it's going to be kind of difficult for him to go do that. So hopefully he can get the lag cleared up here. I guess we're trying to play our best China game. I'm not really sure. Any tournament that ends up on the China servers is always just a lag drop fest, or random people who aren't refs getting into games and testing and doing things. All right, so we're back in game now. I mean, even I don't have that much lag. I've only got about 50 milliseconds, so it's not that bad. Overlord is finally going to die, though. Actually, to the turret. I think the turret killed it. No, the turret did kill it. A random marine did kill it.
There you
So
go.
sad.
The Slayer, he's got quite a decent number of lings here as well.
Yeah.
But
His army is
Padula
very nice, and his creep spread too is really, really nice already.
Padula is moving out to take his third. He has his Banshee. He's got a tank even as well. A couple of Widow Mines. He needs to get 2-2 started. Just his armory a little bit delayed. Is Padula. He would have enjoyed a nice little upgrade lead there. He's moving out across the map with these Hellions and Marines. Got a pretty decent army here. If he can get some good trades off creep, he's going to do real. Hellions, these Lings are not on an attack move.
Oh, a lot of Banes actually crashed into the Hellions themselves. That may be a product of that lag that what he was talking about. Now Padula, realizing that he just killed most of the army, if not all of the army of Slayer, is going to pick up and go for the main base. There are a few mutas out somewhere on the map that aren't going to be able to do too much against this, and with a couple of tanks, or at least one tank with this drop as well, it's going to be really difficult for Slayer to deal with. He's got a lot of links on the map, however. He's actually picking up some of the reinforcements, but beyond that, he does kill off the Banshee, but that doesn't mean his main is completely under fire. This lair is likely going to go down. He's trying to use the mutas to zone out the tank, maybe, and help out, but mutas are just dying to Marines right now. Well, there's not too many Marines actually over here, and a Spore Caller helping out on the medevac as well.
Marauder and the Banelings. Really bad trade there for Slayer. Lost a lot of Banelings into a Marauder.
Still a pretty poor. I mean, both players lost a lot there. Only 5 workers went down. The lair does survive. All the tech survives for Slayer as well. And he's got a pretty large army right now. He's still making a lot. He's got 26 links in production. A few misrallied SCVs out in the middle of the map here for Padula. They're going to get sniped off. Looks like another couple of them actually are trying to get themselves killed. There's not too many mutas out. Some of those mutas did die trying to defend that drop. Only 3 of them, however, but still 4 remain. If that was 7, that'd be a much different story, especially with +1 finishing up here in just a second. But a lot of Banes being created right now. Looking like Slayer wants to put some hurt onto this third base, and with all these Marines up top here, actually not in really a great position. These Banelings can just walk on into this. Padula trying to split for his dear life, but there's just so few Marines right now, and actually Banelings going in, killing off a lot of those mules. So many mules just went down. 12 workers have gone down recently as well. And with the mutas flying in here now, this third base has been completely overrun. Neither player with really a huge advantage, but with the third base under fire and not be able to be taken here, Slayer definitely at a bit of an advantage now. Has lost 20 workers in the past few seconds. Now he's going to defend. Padula will defend his third base, so that's nice for him. But with Slayer having all 3 bases completely saturated here, does need to fix up the gas saturation. That's going to be a problem moving later into this game. Can't make really as much as he wants to. He's going to have +2 finishing up here in a second for those melee units, but so much died off there, Padula, in a bit of a rough spot.
Yeah, I don't like. He's still got 50 workers, and he has 3 mules at a time. And Slayer doesn't have a 4th. And he's mining from a 4th long distance, but he doesn't have a 4th base taken. And doesn't have those gases. He can't keep trading Lings and Banelings against a 3 base Terran. Padula doesn't have the greatest amount of splash damage, but he is rebuilding up an army. His 2-2 is about 2/3 of the way done. Once he has that, he's going to be in a pretty good spot. The problem is he's not really defending his natural as well as he could be. Lings might stream into the natural here. He doesn't get the depot closed. Does bring down his units from the third base. If he can split against these Banelings.
Once again, a lot of Banelings crashing
there.
into Marauders is a pretty bad trade there for Slayer. So despite how badly that could have gone for Padula, I'd say he traded pretty well, and it really had honestly kind of evened up the game right now. Only problem now for Padula is he does still have to recreate a lot of workers. He's down 10 workers in this game. Slayer taking his 4th hatchery now at that base. As he's starting to fix up the gas saturation, even adding a macro hatch. So kind of expecting to see an infestation pit somewhat soon, but right now he just needs to make a lot of units to be able to defend.
Yeah, Padula is cleaning up the creep. He's utilising this time he's got, killing that army off to try and kill some creep. He does load up some medevacs as well. Going to go for another drop. Slayer is well prepared for this though. Even sending the mutas turns the mutas around. He's assuming there was a drop there. I'm kind of unsure where Padula's positioning his army here.
Yeah, he seems to just be waiting.
Trying to get a tank in there as well. This commitment to tanks is very interesting.
Yeah. It's an old style, but if Padula's going to sit here and drop constantly, it's going to work out pretty well for him, but it's kind of the point where this might turn into some sort of a base trade, but Muta's fighting Marines, yeah, it's really poor. A lot of units streaming into the main base, but the tank is getting so many kills as well.
This is a pretty good drop for Padula. He's getting a lot of mutas, a lot of lings, and this drop's probably even going to live as well. Bailing's going to try and clean it up, but again, there's a lot of Marauders here. Not taking the best trades. Padula should use this time now to clean up some of this creep as well. He's got another army pushing across the map. Has a 30, almost a 40 army supply lead. 40 supply lead. He has even up that worker count as well, up to 70 workers. Slayer's still not mining from his 4th either. Scan does go down. Bailing's only just started now. If he can pre-split his Marines, even on creep, should be quite fine. Not
Tank
going
fire
into
as well.
more-
Well, actually, the tank was really confused. It seemed like it wasn't actually killing too much, but there's really nothing left over here for Slayer. Despite having a really pretty massive bank right now, he doesn't have any units to actually attack with. And Padula, just with this bio push constantly streaming across the map, even with a drop going in the main base, it's going to force Slayer to go ahead and tap out there. So GG to Padula. We'll take game number 1 here in this best of 3 series.
Yeah, very good game there from Padula and Slayer. Both of them played quite well. Padula and Slayer's bailing shots on the Marauders. Bit of a story of the tale there. Just wasted so many bailings on those Marauders. I reckon at least 15, 20 probably went down rolling into Marauders. Would have changed the fight considerably, if not. Good game though. Much more even game compared to our other ones so far.
It seemed if Slayer's able to control his mutas a little bit better, that definitely
Lost
that
a lot
game
of
goes a lot
mutas
better for him. He lost
to
a lot of
those
mutas fighting to
Marines.
Marines instead of
Yeah.
actually fighting either tanks or even, well, anything but Marines, honestly.
I think if he went a higher muta count and controlled them better a little bit, but a higher muta count in general is generally what you want against just the heavier tank and marauder style. Just a real high ling muta count is a good way to fight that.
Padula's going to take needs a quick break here. So I'm going to take this time to thank a couple of folks, I guess our sponsors. We do have a couple of coaches who have offered up an hour of their time as a coaching prize. So thanks to Tang from All Inspiration to Zerg Player, GM Zerg Player, consistent GM Zerg. You can follow him, show your appreciation at TangSC2 on Twitter. And also a Protoss player, one of the mods from All Things Protoss on SC Reddit, Gemini. Follow him at GGemini19. Their Twitch channels and their coaching pages are also, you can find those as links below what's the word I'm looking for, below the video player on Twitch, if you're interested in that. Those darn words. And also thanks to Tux from Team Composite for creating all these graphics for me to be able to use for this system. And of course thanks to all the other people who have been helping me out just with brainstorming ideas. I've got a decent amount of people who have been helping, doing some qualifier, all the help with the qualifiers. I wasn't around for half the qualifiers, and they ran smoothly and everything, so that's really cool. But we do have Padula. He is back now. Slayer is, well, just testing out his lag, it seems. Trying to make sure he can clear that up. Let's see if the player's ready. We'll get into game number 2 here. Could be the last game of the night. Have to wait and see if Slayer can actually pull one back here. Ready.
Yeah. Hopefully get a game 3. I'd like to see a game 3.
Yeah, for sure. Again, if Slayer is able to use mutas effectively,
Yeah.
he had so many
control
opportunities
his
to do
army
so.
a little bit better. You just take better engagements. Really threw away a lot of his army. His gas units as well, specifically. It's kind of the last thing you want to be doing as Zerg, is throwing away those gas units. As any race, really, when you think about it. But Zerg
Gas
specifically.
Usually an issue. Gas is usually the biggest issue for players, so when you start losing things like that, it's really a bad problem. But we are in our next game, and spawning up here in the top right, he could find himself in position to move to the round of 16 with one more victory. From Unrivaled in yellow, our Terran player, it is Padula.
And in the bottom left of Overgrowth, looking to tie the series up, it is Guns N' Roaches Slayer.
So another TVZ, yet another TVZ. We've been seeing a lot of these, of course, and we still have not seen any protests. I'm really excited for the next NA group, which will be in, let me think, 12 plus 4, 16 and a half hours. We will have the first NA group. That'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern tonight. We will have a couple Protoss in that one, so if you are actually interested in Protoss players and seeing them in the CSL, we're finally going to see some. So do tune in for that. We will actually have, I think, maybe one of each race even. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think there is.
I can't remember who
Maybe.
the fourth player is. No, Doohickey, Purge.
I
Shoot,
don't know.
Ninkazi and someone else.
Yeah, there's your turn.
Yeah, so there's the Terran player.
Doohickey is Protoss.
Yeah.
Purge,
Doohickey's
Protoss. I don't know the Zerg. I don't know. Let's just assume there's a Zerg.
Sure. I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong.
Fair enough. Gas coming out of Padula. Looks like it's going to be the Reaper expand again out of him. Not going to try that one racks Wings of Liberty style build he did against the Quilla.
Yeah, that was an interesting build, but it works. I think it worked out pretty well for him. But it's true edge, so it's a Terran.
Ah, it's a natural Zerg. Zerg from Team Battleloss.
Oh, it is Zerg. Okay, he is Zerg.
Yeah. There you go.
Mixed up.
Yeah, sure.
Nothing exciting happening in this game just yet, of course. I mean, early game against in TVZ, it's always pretty well thought out. We got a hatch first, once again from Slayer, following up with his spawning pool and gas. So similar builds out of both players. Kind of up to Padula to see what he wants to do here in this game. If he's going to go for the 3 Reapers like he did in earlier games, he's going to continue with that quick reactor. I mean, without the depot up here, would expect to see a command center coming down pretty quickly, but he's up to the mineral count for it. It doesn't have an SCV actually ready to build.
Yeah, it's not quite ideal. This build, not quite perfectly lined up with his SCVs, but doesn't matter all that too much at this level. Those couple of seconds don't really matter. He's going to get this Reaper Scout off, and hopefully he doesn't lose it this time.
Yes.
Completely forgotten that game. He did lose the Reaper. And we'll see if Slayer does catch this Reaper, if he makes the decision to get a bit aggressive off this.
It wouldn't be a bad idea in the first place. Only a single Reaper. We've been seeing nothing but a single Reaper in most of these games from Padula. And if Slayer decides to just move across the map with his Lings and just try and deny the CC's finishing up, we saw him do that against Lando on Deadwing, where he went across the map with his Lings, almost killed the SCV.
Had he got it off.
Had he just clicked on it one more time, it would have gone down. He would have denied the CC or finishing up for a little bit of time, but Padula does have a couple Marines over here already, so he's going to be safe from that at this point of the game. And he does have a factory finish up as well, and looking like we're going to see the same Widow Mine, and maybe this time he'll get up to the Hellbats with an armory, and then getting that medevac as well, which it didn't really do anything in the previous game. It really didn't do anything. He lost his Hellions so quickly. And he lost like what, 2 Lings, I think, to it really. So didn't do much. So maybe he'll be able to do something this game.
Perhaps. Sending the Reaper out again. And needs to get back into Slayer's base and scout this off. He might be a little bit late on this though, because speed is almost finished. Lings almost do get. They almost do get the Reaper in the middle of the map as well. There's a couple of Hellions on the way. Medivac as well, so it is looking like the same build. Front with a Hellion and a Widow Mine again. So Padula sticking to what he knows, probably what he's most comfortable with. He probably does this build quite a bit on ladder in TVZ and in practice games.
Yeah, it's a hefty force this early in the game, especially if it's actually on the map compared to just sitting back home and just waiting for the Zerg player to do something. Padula doesn't do that. He's moving across the map right now. He's going to have this in the base. The armory is actually just now started, so this is going to add a little bit of DPS to this attack once he gets that armory finished up. He's actually Slayer. He's going to lose an Overlord here. Oh, wow. How the heck did that actually get saved?
Somewhat.
The jukes. Jukes, and that does mean that Slayer doesn't know this. He knows this attack is coming now. And he's even got a Roach Warren on the way this game, which I don't think he did in the previous game at all. Right. So he's gonna be able to help out a lot here. He's gonna get a surround on all these units. If the Widow Mine burrows, it's gonna do a lot of friendly fire damage. He's actually gonna do wisely sending that back. He's gonna not burrow that just yet.
Helping out quite a lot as well. You can just wait until they get this. A couple of Baneling started for Slayer, but it's probably not quite enough, I think. With the addition of this mine, 4 Hellbats, a bunch of Marines, there's quite a bit of firepower in this. And he's positioning the mine now. So probably can trigger that with a couple of Lings.
Oh, he's gonna actually trigger it with a Baneling too. Actually, even getting some friendly fire damage done with that. The Hellbats are here. He's gonna try to get on top of his Hellbats with the Banelings, perhaps. Nice pick up there to save most of everything, and most of the army is still alive over here for Padula. There's 10 more Lings in production, but this third base is gonna be under a lot of fire with the Widow Mine as well helping out. A couple more Banelings being morphed in, but those are going to get focused down probably before they even finish. There's a Queen over here to help. That's really all there is, and Hellbats early on with the Medevac are so difficult to kill off.
Yeah, Padula needs to fight with all of his army in one place, so he can't be fighting in bits and pieces. Widowmine should go off on these Banelings here. Does get a kill. If he can just sit here in between these minerals, he should be able to DPS this third base down. He needs to pick up that Widowmine though. Hellbat, apologies. And Slayer eventually does clean this up. Quite a bit of damage done. Forced out a lot of units. As Padula isn't even on units, on
They're even
workers.
on everything right now. Everything was actually an army supply 11-11. Well, we just had a swell of drones finish up for Slayer, and he's taking a lead. And Slayer actually getting a little bit aggressive on the map. He's going to pick off one more Hellion. There isn't really anything out front. It's not even a wall finished up. Just that there's a single Hellion. Padilla is trying to finish up this wall, but not a lot moving out right now for Slayer. He's been droning behind this. It's not like he's been trying to just go for a counter bust. If he did, he could probably do a ton of damage. It's not going to be the case, however. He's just gonna let Padula macro up a little bit behind this, and at the same time, he's got his third hatch finished. He can't be too afraid right now of anything that's happening. He's got an Overlord once again sitting in the base, so he sees that their command center is down in here, so he knows what he's fighting against. And once again, this super late stem from Padula started at 10.5 minutes almost.
He's going
back to
into
Hana.
siege tanks as well. Again, it's an interesting choice to go siege tanks. There's a good map for it though. There's quite a lot of positions on this map where you can hide it behind in chokes and really abuse this real explosive damage of the tanks. But yeah, Slayer taking gas guards was 5 and 6. Yeah, starting to really push this creep spread out a little bit as well. I really like his position in the game now. It's quite a big drone lead. Still starting +1 attack only just now. Slayer, it's only +1 carapace on the way, so they're quite even on upgrades actually. Both players, but just the drone lead now. It gets Baneling speed, and Aspire comes down right away as that layer finishes.
Yeah, kind of expecting Padula to go for a drop like we have seen him do a few times in these games, and he relies on drops quite heavily. But they do work out pretty well for him, especially with a pretty late Spire. I mean, it's 11.5 minutes for the Spire to come actually down. So we got to. Slayer will have to rely on Lings and Banes placed decently. His Overlord spread isn't that great. I mean, his creep spread is getting better. And really, considering the fact that he has Overlord speed, there's no reason for him not to have almost complete map vision right now with Overlords if he really wants to. Just needs to actually send them out to locations that are useful instead of hanging out behind in between his second and third bases here. But a lot of units in production right now for Slayer. He just wants to get up at least a decent standing army and hopefully save as much gas as he can without turning too many of these into Banes, so he can actually make a good swell of mutas when that Spire does finish up here in just a second. But Padilla is moving out on the map right now, which means there have to be Banelings. 14 Banes in production, so that's good. 18 more Lings as well on the way here for Slayer.
Padilla's got steam. He's got these 2 tanks. He's going to go position himself around this little corner where the third is. And you can get a good pre-split with this Banshee adding some extra DPS as well. He's kind of just got a bit of everything. And Baneling speed is finished, but some good pre-splits here off creep with the tanks already sieged up can go real well for Padula. Sending this Hellion first as well. He's very clumped up at the moment though. A lot of Banelings going off in tanks.
Yeah, the tanks are not really the frightening part of this army. I mean, it sounds like you should probably kill the tanks first, but it's not really necessary. Now once again, we're seeing the same sort of thing where Slayer has a few mutas left over and nothing left on the ground. He's making 32 Lings at a time, but he's got nothing left. He's kind of making the mistake where he tries to A-move with that army rather than actually just running through the army and getting surrounded and then blowing up the Banelings on things that actually matter. Because now there's still of this Bioforce left and this constant stream of yellow moving across the map, as well as a command center coming along for the ride. That'll be cleaned up. That'll be figured out eventually, I assume. But still, so much Bio is alive, going up just against Lings and Lings alone. The mutas, most of them have been killed off. I mean, he only had 3 ever. He's lost 2 of those 3. Tula is turning around now. Just going to wait a little bit longer before he tries pushing once again. But
third base is kind of in a real weird spot. And he's got SCVs rallied across the map for some reason. There's obviously a misrally going on here somewhere. There's a couple of SCVs. They do get turned around now. A little bit of a mistake, but His macro is quite strong. He still has an army supply lead. He's got +2 weapons on the way. Not +2 armor started yet. He does have the money and gas for it. Needs to throw down a few more barracks though. He's only really producing max 8 Marines at a time. He needs to really ramp that production up.
And also, his third base is really, really undefended right now, and Slayer is moving over to that location with everything he has. Padula maybe kind of realizing this, he's starting to push back his units to his natural, but there's no wall-off over here. There's absolutely nothing over here. There's a few Marines, which will give a bit of an advanced warning, but if the Banelings for Slayer actually connect on the Bio Army that is over here for Padula and not on the Marauders, which look like, oh, they're trying to get through the Marauders, but decent split out of Padula here. Not a lot of damage going down, but there's so much Zerg over here, and the third base as well was forced to lift off. SCVs over there aren't mining, and now there's a lot of mutas and still some lings over in the main base. There isn't much left over here actually on this side of the map for Slayer. He's going to have to walk away from this, hopefully keeping most of his mutas alive. He does do that at least. He does do a good amount of damage to the actual standing army of Padula, but still both players kind of reset, and once again Slayer, a huge amount of minerals. He's actually making 2 macro hatcheries in his main base to try to help that out. Needs to start just getting some queens around that location so we can start injecting those as well. He's going to inject at least 2 of those hatcheries with that main queen.
Would have preferred Slayer to hit those SCVs and think instead of trying to move in to the natural of Padula. I don't think he could have killed him there. I think a better choice would have been to kill those workers at the third base. Really shut down the mining. Padula really lacking in medivacs at the moment. Has got 2 more in production. A lot of idle SCVs as well. So
looking like Slayer's going to go for the CC itself. Okay, maybe not. He's going to send all those Banelings over to the army. Tanks sieging up once again. A lot of Banelings here. There's just so many Banes. Slayer has been on top of his macro a lot better in this game, but I think Padula is keeping up right there with him. There's a lot of mutas left over. Actually, a lot of the mutas did go down. Actually, they're in kind of different spots right now. And more lings flooding across the map. 42 lings in production, with 2-2 going to be finishing up here in a bit. Padula's main base is completely overrun. He's got his production is being camped right now, and he's got no mineral economy. This third base is once again lifted up, so he isn't able to actually, continue producing anything at the moment. He's going to try to hold on here, but this is looking like the death knells here for him in game number 2.
Yeah, there's way too much Zerg here now. A lot of lings. Not even bothering to morph the banelings at the moment. Just on an A move. Dula, he's hanging in there quite a bit. There's a bunch of banelings started. He's trying to mine from his third, but he just doesn't have the production, even if he could stabilize here, to really fight back here. The Slayer's creep spread is starting to real push out across the map as well, which is nice. Banelings roll in. Good pick up there from Padula, but too little, too late, unfortunately, for him. Some cute micro coming out of him, but not enough.
Yeah, everything going down right now for Padula is... He's got that fantasy GG timing sometimes, I must say. I've seen it in his games. And we see 38 more lings in production, a hive in production as well. The +2 Carapace is going to finish up for Slayer, and there we go. GG from Padula, so we will see a game 3 here. Finally, in our last match of the night, we're going to see a game number 3, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And that was still an extremely even match. Padula not killing that third hatchery early. He definitely wanted to, and he probably could have, but he just wasn't quite able to do so. And now we're going to be going into Deadwing for our last map of the series. A map that probably favors a player like Slayer, who likes to go macro, likes to get that creep moving out pretty quickly the way he does. And if he's able to, once again, just affect... He still hasn't done any harassment with his mutas, which has been kind of sad. They've always been with the main army. They haven't been actually harassing, haven't been doing any economic damage. It's been part of the army. It's helping out, but we did see him use those banelings a lot better in this game, which definitely helped out quite a bit.
Yeah, he's really fixed that part of his game up. And Padula, that push on the third base at the start of the game, if he had to just kept his army together, he would have taken a much better fight at that third base. Probably would have been able to kill it. And then I think it's just a completely different game from there. He was able to go home, macro up, defend, and transition out of it. Just a little bit sloppy in that first attack from him. Just kind of snowballed a little bit. But game 3 on Deadwing. That's funny.
Just waiting for Padula to be ready. Slayer is ready and rear and ready to go. I mean, you don't blame Padula. He probably wants to take a couple seconds just to calm his nerves.
Yeah.
Especially in a series like that. If you lose the second game, after winning the first game, and it's like, wait a second, I thought I had this. So maybe having those doubts creeping wants to shake them off, but he is ready. We are getting into game number 3 here on Dead Wing. Stoked. What is your little smirk going on? Reading chat, I am.
I'm reading on Rival Chat. It's funny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See if we get any cheese. I don't think we're going to get any cheese. And both players aren't really known to cheese too much. They both like their macro play.
Yeah.
I'd be very surprised.
They each won one macro game, so no expectation of seeing anything early from either of these players. I'm more interested to see how Padula is going to open on this map. It'd be a lot more difficult for him to do that Hellion, Hellbat-ish Marine push that he has been doing. It's a lot easier on this map to actually fend off on your third base. So will be interesting to see what Padula decides to do. And speaking of, spawning in the bottom right here in yellow from Team Unrival, our Terran player, it is Padula.
And in the top right hand side of Deadwing from Guns and Roaches, it is Slayer. Padula probably got the best spawns he could hope for as well. I think he'll be happy with those spawns. It's not cross position. Good for the Terran player. We'll see.
For sure. This isn't. It's not the completely expansive map it could be if they were cross positions, which is what we saw with Slayer versus Lando in that second game of their series. And Slayer fared pretty well on that game. He's able to. I mean, he defended the early push that came from Lando extremely easily without really much effort. And I kind of expect to see the same sort of setup here for Slayer in this game, taking that third base that's up on the ramp, being able to defend against early Hellions really easily. We did see the Roach Warren come out from Slayer here in that last game, but he didn't actually use it at all. So that is in his arsenal at least, knowing that he may possibly need that. He did just defend with Lings and Banes. So we'll have to wait to see what he decides to do here in this game.
Padula going for the 12 racks, 12 gas. He's going to go Reaper again in this game. Pretty safe and standard. Nothing too out of the ordinary from him. No command center first either, which is a bit of a surprise. Haven't really seen too many command center first either. Lots of Reaper play in these TVZs.
It's normal setup for both players. Waiting to see if Slayer will go for gas first. Well, I doubt it sincerely, but he's up to 16. Is he going to make the... Okay, he's going to make the pool. He's a little bit momentarily excited, but it is going to be pool. I expect to see gas here in a second. 3-hatch is so fun. It's really hard to play.
3-hatch is great fun. Yeah, it's really hard to play against TVZ.
I'd also like to see a proxy hatch. You can see that happen. There was an insane game last night in the Pro League final with Sue and SOS.
Yeah, that was so good.
Oh, did you watch that too? Yeah. It started with that cannon rush and then turned into a proxy hatch, proxy hatch. It was in a Nidus Worm too. It was great. It was great fun.
Yeah, Nidus Worm, and then like there was a base. It was on this map. It was like a Protoss base on the left-hand side, and Padula's where SOS was, and then it was like Blink Stalkers with like an Immortal against lots of roaches. Weird game.
Yeah, it was extremely weird.
Cannons everywhere. It was really annoying actually because I really wanted to like see SOS play like Stargate style that he does, because I really like that style. So I wanted to watch that game, but he didn't do it. He just cannon rushed. I was like, well, that's not helpful to me because I'm just never going to cannon rush ever in PvZ. Because I have terrible micro.
Yeah, it's really cannon rush is sneakily difficult to actually pull off.
Yeah.
And anytime I do it, I generally just fail miserably. So I tend not to do it. Slayer he almost got a kill on that Reaper, almost got a surround on it, but Padula is paying attention to that. Well, almost once again gets it surrounded, but it is so difficult. Even if the Reaper makes a really terrible movement, it's still almost impossible to catch the darn thing because you have to react instantly to it moving. And it can be quite difficult to do. But speed is on the way. Slayer has pulled one drone out of gas at this point, so nothing too exciting to speak of. We see once again the same setup here out of Padula. He's going for that reactor. He's got a factory about to finish up. Expect to see a starport, so maybe he will go for that push once again. Maybe hope to get a little bit more damage done in this game. Well, I say that he's still making 2 more Marines without actually switching it over. So he's going to make 2 more Marines first. Wait, what is he doing with that factory? Where are you
Factory's
going,
on a... Come back! No! Reaper's going to get a drone? Reaper going to get a drone? No.
Oh, he doesn't have the minerals. He didn't. I guess he didn't have the minerals to actually make something the first time he tried to. So he does lose a drone there, so that's kind of sad for him. But nothing exciting in the main base here for Slayer. So the Reaper is here. It's being annoying, but it's not going to scout anything really anything too exciting on the fact that Slayer did pull mostly out of gas. Actually, Reaper pauses momentarily and will die. Sad story for it.
Slayer takes a third. Speed is done. There is no wall and no bunker, and the Hellions are really late. If you had to send these links across the map, they could do quite a bit of damage. Doesn't decide to though. Game 3, you don't want to risk losing all your lings, just in case. It's so risky here. All your choices you make in this game, just like, is it the right one? You question yourself, am I doing the right thing? I don't want to throw the game away. You end up playing quite cautiously. And Slayer does Overlord Scout, does see the armory, does see the Medivac. We'll assume there's Hellions, should see a Baneling Nest being thrown down. Goes Roaches instead, which is an interesting choice. Generally, Baneling's probably the better way to defend against Hellbat drops than Hellbat aggression. Personally,
actually, Slayer is busy dealing with the rocks over at between his second and third bases. Maybe expecting the attack to come there with a tank or something. It's not going to be the case. This Medivac is almost on the way into the main base. It's only going to be 2 Hellbats when they are able to transform, but that does mean that they will be able to get healed, which is definitely a nice little help for those units. But some Lings here, but a really nice position by Padula. They do get surrounded, but not really enough firepower with just the Lings. The Medivac is almost, well, it was being focused momentarily by the Queen. But now most of that drop does get cleaned up. The Hellbats weren't even able to get transferred over. A couple hands over at the third base ramp as well. Those get... they run away for their lives, basically. They're not going to bother doing that, but Padula is not going home with these few units, and a lot of Lings are in production here for our Zerg player Slayer. And looking like he maybe just hoping to clean this up and then move across the map with his own bust. There's a third command center coming from Padula behind this, and still no wall off and not a lot of units to back this up, so he needs to kill a lot of the army here for Slayer.
Slayer even maybe trying to take a fourth there. He has enough Lings. Probably clean this up. Should start some Banelings. There he is. He just needs to buy time, I think, against this. Padula realizing he probably can't get anything done. Transfers back to Hellions. Moves back across the map, but forces out the Banelings, which is really nice. Slayer ideally didn't want to be making Banelings at this stage of the game. And has this Roach Warren sitting idle as well. And he does clean up a Hellion. And he's finally finishing off this wall. I'm not sure if that's completely tight, that wall for Padula. There's command center deeper in a bunker. It's a very interesting wall. But Slayer has map control for the time being with these Lings. He has his third. He's working his way on those rocks.
Slowly but surely, that Queen will eventually kill it. When that Queen does kill it, it's going to have 200 energy. It's going to lay down a bunch of creep. But it's a little bit silly. He could be spreading creep right now with that Queen, but it may actually just be completely unhotkeyed, so he doesn't even realize that it's happening, other than hearing that sound going off. But these Evo Chambers are quite late here for Slayer. We do have 1-1 already on the way for Padula, so that's going to be a nice little advantage for him. If he is able to go directly into 2-2, if he has the money to do so, that's going to be the kind of the determining factor. He does have the armory already finished with those that early Hellbat push, but just not much gas right now, so going directly into 2-2, and to answer your question, no, that is not a tight wall. If a Marauder just squeezed through that even, so that's a thing.
I'm assuming Slayer is just at some stage during his StarCraft games has lost really badly to a tank drop here, and so anytime he plays this map, he's just like, stuff this, I'm breaking all the rocks down. He just gets into that one-track mind. This Marauder is on a scouting mission, an expensive scout, to be honest.
Especially considering the fact there's already a couple of Banshees on the map. The Marauder probably isn't necessary to go check out that there isn't a third base actually existing. This is seen by Slayer, so he's going to surround that with Lings. Hopefully not waste any Banes on it. Okay. That was really close to losing a Bane for no reason.
There's another Marauder on the way as well. Yeah, he's pulled it back. Obviously a misrally there.
There's a couple of Widow Mines out front here for Padula, so he is going to be safe against the bust for the time being. But if Slayer decides to just move across the map, he's going to be able to deny the third base for a really long time. He does have an Overseer over here, so he does know, he could know. He doesn't actually know about the third command center just yet. He does drop a Changeling in, but I think that was seen by Padula. No, it wasn't seen by Padula, so he doesn't actually know that it's there. So this Changeling will get a scout on that third base. Scan goes down, just looking for the army, hoping, I think it was a hopeful is the army here scan, but it's not, so.
It seems very wasteful to me, to be honest. Things are moving across the map. Looks like they're going to go for the old Back Rocks mission. try and pick something up. Or that, or they're looking for a hidden command center. Slayer's still not seen that command center. He has seen it now. He's got a changeling sitting there. Not entirely sure what those lings are there for. He has a couple of lings. Another ling in the northwest as well. Probably to pick up a hidden command center, I'd imagine. But Slayer is getting baneling speed. He has his Spire on the way as well. Starting to push this creep spread out across the map. Padula finally lands his third base. He's got a pretty decent army. He's again building tanks. His splash damage of choice is tanks. He has +2 attack started. Hasn't got +2 armor started yet, which he needs to get started.
Which is kind of interesting because Slayer's care upgrade was also actually behind. He has got +2 melee attacks on the way, but no, he's not going to have +2 care time in this game, I should say. It's going to be a little bit before that is finished up for him, but he's still in a decent position. He's making a lot of roaches. He's making 7 more roaches right now. So I'm not sure exactly what he's afraid of. He's seen that it's bio. He knows what he's playing against, but he's just getting these roaches, I suppose, for a little bit of extra defense, a little bit of a bulkier defense. Maybe against the Widow Mines to support the Lings,
Yeah.
I suppose, but I'm not really sure.
Maybe, yeah. I'm not entirely sure what that's about. Spadula's already got tanks. The roaches are kind of the last thing you want against.
He may be trying to just go for the rocks and be able to clean those up a little bit quicker with roaches, I suppose. That's something he could be trying to do. I'm just trying to think it out, but Padula does have a couple of units out, kind of scouting the pathways. There's only one small sliver of space on this ramp to the right of this Hellion here that could possibly be, squirted through by these Lings, but it's not going to happen, I don't think. Slayer is just in the middle of the map, and actually all those units that are out front. Actually, all of the army is actually moving out here now for Padula. That's a pretty beefy army, and not many Banes actually exist right now. Only, can't really click on them. There we go. Only 8 Banelings at the moment. Not nearly enough to deal with the army that Padula has standing here. 28 Lings are in production. It's a huge stim forward. He's going to kill off some creep. Not much. There's even a drop that was loaded up, either accidentally or not, but a lot more Banelings need to be made right now by Slayer if he wants to survive in this game, because that is a huge army for Padula right now.
Needs to kill this creep with a scan, otherwise it's completely wasted. There he goes now. Slayer picking up an army, rolling in with these Banelings, not getting the best connections. Padula's split back quite a long way. Roaches are probably going to end up cleaning this up though. Still quite a few Marines left over. There are 2 medivacs off dropping up the third base as well. Slayer reinforcements for Padula do push this back. As this drop at the third is forcing the drones off the line. Units come back to defend, but that's less than ideal. He wants to defend with these roaches. He does lift up, he is going to get out of there. Hopefully saves both these medivacs for Padula. He does. Gets another Mutalisk as well. Meanwhile, his rest of his army is moving up. He has 2 more medivacs loaded up, going to drop into the main. Spotted by the Overlord, but Slayer
this is the point where
is
Slayer is
reacting
kind of be falling apart at the moment. He's trying to defend on too many fronts right now. Trying to deal with the army that is at his third, as well as the army that is in his main base, and he's still using these mutas as actual drop defense to kill units rather than actually killing the medevacs. He may catch one of the medevacs, just barely not going to catch it. I'm not really sure. He may catch it. He will catch it, actually. So that medevac will go down. It had a lot of units in it, but his third base has been pretty much ransacked. The drones, however, were pulled pretty nicely, so he's not going to lose that. But now the main army for Padula is here. But most of the army does remain right now for Slayer. He just needs to have a lot more Lings to help out. There's actually a Widowmine about to... just barely doesn't go off, actually. Now these roaches are definitely helping out. The roaches that I was confused about earlier have stayed alive and doing a ton of work right now for Slayer. And Slayer, the really good thing is that he pulled away his drones every single time during this drop, so he's lost very minimal workers right now. He still has 69 workers. Padula actually has 72, which is way too many for him right now on these 3 bases. Doesn't even have the gases at his third either. No 4th base, no 4th command center even started just yet. So that push, while scary, has been cleaned up and taken care of, and Slayer is now going to be a little bit aggressive here, getting a little bit too far in front of himself. Really needs to focus on probably muta production at this point. Try to get that count up to actually be able to do really much of anything against Padula. Really, the hero Ling over here going to scout off where this 4th base is, which is going to be really difficult actually to miss it completely. It missed it completely. Oh, Slayer, that poor Ling. It's going to be really difficult for Padula to actually defend that, though.
Yeah, he needs to really get some more barracks down. He's quite queued up on his barracks production. Needs to probably throw down 4 or 5 more barracks instead of queuing all this up, so he can really get that production up. Instead of, he's only building 6 Marines at a time, so he has the ability to produce more because he's mining pretty heavily on 3 bases, but doesn't have the infrastructure there to really get it going. Loads up 2 medevacs to go for a drop as well. It's an odd position for his 4th command center. He could have taken this nice easy pocket one, I think, as well. 3-3 is halfway finished though. It's going to put a clock on Slayer.
Yeah. That's gonna be a lot of pain coming his way. And he's making more meters. He's making 5 more. He's only got 3 now because he's lost, what, 11 so far? And if he had almost 20 meters at this point, he'd not been losing all of those, it'd be so much scarier. But now Padula has a big enough army to move out on the map. At the same time, he's once again going to be going into the 3rd base with this double drop over here. Nothing over here really to fend this off. No static defense at all. If he just makes some static defense, okay, there's 1 spore and a spine, but really poorly placed. Actually, not going to do any sort of defense. That drop is coming in now. The army is over here already for Slayer, so he can't go and attack this. But once again, leading with the mutas, so the mutas are going to die off pretty quickly. All the units do get picked up. This means that the main army of Padula is probably going to move forward, and I expect to see another drop probably towards the main base eventually, somewhat soon. Did he still not see this base? Slayer still has not seen this 4th base over here. He's ran past it twice, but has not seen it.
Yeah, I think he grabbed the all army key then as well, because that Ling ran back from the place where he's looking for that ninja expand to clean up that old drop of Padula's. Builds a bunch of new banelings. Padula is maxed out now. He can probably push out here. He wants to be careful pushing onto creep though. He wants to be very careful. He stays pre-split. Doesn't want to lose this to the significant number of banelings that Slayer has. But he wants to lead with these banelings as well.
He's actually attacking right before 3-3 finishes, so it's a really, really bad idea. Like 3-3 finished right now. All these units, however, have died, and now Slayer, I don't know if that fight goes a lot better with 3-3 finish, but it definitely goes better than it just did. Padula's entire army is wiped out. 83 armies played at 32 right now. Slayer is on top of this 3rd base here. Padula, just one poor engagement may have just lost him this game. He's still got a lot left, but he's going to go ahead and tap out, realizing he has no production. That changed in an instant. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he was pretty commanding position, just taking the probably worst fight he probably could. Took it on creep, completely bunched up as well. It's really unfortunate for him. He was in a pretty good spot there. He was really doing quite a bit of damage with these drops, and nevertheless, Slayer does move on to the round of 16. Congratulations to him.
That was a surprising last engagement. I don't know what Padula's thought process was with that. He had just scanned kind of that forward location where he thought the army might have been, and he didn't see anything, so maybe he thought it had a little bit more room. But as it stands, that went south in a hurry for Padula. So Slayer will move on with Mr. Lando to the round of 16. So congrats to those 2 players. Padula and Aquila will fall here in the round of 32. That is going to do it